So if you've ever puzzled about the link between fishes and cocoa, and it's not something that many people do, or why cocoa became chocolate, we're going to try and help you today. So one of the extraordinary things about cocoa is how did we get from cocoa to chocolate? And I don't just mean the process, I mean the naming. But also, how did a couple of fishes on a bowl lead to effectively cocoa becoming the Rosetta Stone, the tool to linguistically decipher the amazingly rich culture of the Mayans written in glyphs? Let me start with the simple stuff. When the conquistadors invaded Mesoamerica, they destroyed almost all the written records and culture of both the Incas and the Aztecs. However, some of the earlier Mayan records weren't as badly destroyed because they were glyphs and on pottery and on stone. And until very recently, nobody really knew how to read this. But what happened about 20, 30 years ago was a guy called Lansbury basically worked out that these glyphs were probably both phonetic and also pictograms. Then in 1984, a bowl was discovered with some fishes on the front and also inside it a cocoa residue. And because they knew that those fishes meant cacao and there was a symbol for W, they actually figured out the mechanics by which you could understand and start to read Mayan glyphs. So cacao effectively is responsible for being the Rosetta Stone which unlocked this extraordinary rich culture of Mayan history. Now, initially, the Spaniards did actually call cocoa cacao, which basically means cocoa water. But in about the mid-1580s, this all changed dramatically and they started to use another word, chocolate. The reason we think now why they gave up this word is the same reason why, if you're Swedish or if you are Danish, you are probably aware of a great chocolate bar called Plop and some wine gums and some salty licorice called Spunk. Now, perhaps understandably, neither of those products are sold very much in the UK. You can get them at the Scandi kitchen, but they're not really, mass market items. The same is true, perhaps, as to why the word cocoa was switched for chocolate by the Spaniards. We think that it's basically because slang for feces or poo in Spanish at that period was cacao. And yeah, if you're trying to basically popularize a drink, especially if you want papal endorsement for it, which is what they do get, and basically serve it in church when it's fasting days, you don't really want something which has got everyone sniggering about feces and poo. So they picked another word. Now, for a long time, we've also really debated about what is this other word? What is chocolate? Where does it come from? So lots of assumptions that chocolate comes from the naha for bitter water. That's probably not right because we know that they were actually mixing it with sugars and sweets and honeys and mazes. Other theories have been that the sound of basically using the tate to sort of get the froth going, the choco, 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 that may well have been what gave rise to chocolate. But actually, Catherine Sampeg and Colin Martin, amazing researchers, have a new theory, which is that actually the word chocolate came from a group of farmers who, at the time of the Spanish invasion, were already growing lots of chocolate, the Pipil from El Salvador. And their assumption is that actually what happened is that the Spanish sort of picked up on this phrase because they were already sourcing lots of their chocolate from them. And it became, in Catherine's words, like the sort of Q-tips or the buffalo chicken wings, if you like, of describing drinking chocolate by using the word chocolate. The other extraordinary story behind all of this is that nearby these people are another great tribe called the K'iche. Now, the K'iche are the first people who basically brought chocolate to Europe that we have a record of in 1544. And even if chocolate didn't prove to be an immediate hit, the extraordinary thing is they are still growing cacao today. And as Catherine points out, one of the tragedies of chocolate's history is that it led to extraordinary abuse of the indigenous people who've been written out the story, so we don't know that chocolate actually is a Pipil word. But the great thing is that we can still get amazing beans which are sourced into extraordinary bars. So we've got one here from Standout, We've got some other ones from the Great Chocolada. We hope to be getting some in from Stranger and from Messina soon. So if you want to celebrate great chocolate and remember the history and not just abuse the poor farmers, do think about some craft chocolate and look at great bars from Guatemala. Thank you.